Good morning, everybody. Thanks for logging on to the Trainernet. It's about 6:53 in the morning right here, right now. And late last night, some good news came out of the whole Tekken 8 situation for once. This dropped about 12 a.m. or so. I just happened to be up because it was a Friday night. I'm off work today, so I stayed up a little later. Anyway, yesterday, what happened was Katsuhiro Harada tweeted this in response to a Twitter user who said that they thought that there should be community representatives that met with the Tekken team. I believe this individual suggested Main Mansui. I'm not going to pull up his tweet just to protect identities and that sort of thing. You can go find it. But Harada said this: in any case, regarding the recent increase in discussions among players, I personally initiated an urgent discussion and asked the team to deliberate on how to respond. And then he just goes into a little bit of his reasoning about like whose opinion he uses in the shaping of the game, or his team uses. So this was interesting that they said this urgent discussion was going to happen. So people thought, okay, maybe something is going to change. Maybe they're going to do something about all this uproar. And then, like I said, around midnight last night, this dropped. I got a Discord notification from Tekken Zaibatsu Discord that this had been posted on Tekken.jp. So let's take a look at it. This is about battle system adjustment policy for 2.0. In Season 1, offensive options utilizing the heat system had become somewhat formulaic, making it difficult for players to express their individual playstyles. The advantages for attacking a player during heat were often too great, leading to one-sided match developments, an issue we've acknowledged. With that in mind, Season 2 introduces a wide range of updates to keep the battle system and significant adjustments and new moves for each character, based on the following 3 guiding principles. So I just like to say this is why you need a community manager, because as we get into this, there's going to be some stuff that was already mentioned that they told us about was going to happen in this update, but because you have this document here which explains the guiding principles, explains why they're doing it in a very clear, concise manner, that can handle your outrage a little bit. I feel like people can at least understand, because admittedly there's some stuff in here I didn't think about. So first thing, expanding strategic options with the heat system, and this is going to be about the dash into low, heat dash into low. Activating heat provides major advantage, creating opportunities to pressure opponents with mid-low mix-ups. However, characters lacking strong standing low attacks have been unable to fully capitalize on this advantage. To address this, we made it possible to transition into a crouching state after a successful heat engager by inputting down back, down, or down forward, giving players more options to apply pressure. Additionally, certain characters can now perform heat smash or heat burst from unique stances, enhancing combo variety in mind games during neutral. For characters who previously had limited tactical options during heat, we've introduced new heat exclusive moves to make their heat state more appealing and dynamic. Look guys, I'm not a fan of the heat system. It's my least favorite part about Tekken 8, easily. I am one of those old curmudgeons who felt like Tekken was a fairly pure game. I'm not saying it didn't have cheese or cheap stuff. It absolutely did. But heat is just such a almost 2D fighting game like system that has found its way into Tekken. I think Rage and Rage Arts were a little bit too much, but they still fit within that framework, albeit a bit clumsily. But Heat is just too much. Just not a fan of Heat. So the whole Heat Dash Crouch thing, people were very upset about this change. But this document, they didn't go back on it. This is still going to be a thing. But they at least explained to you a little bit why they were thinking about it. Particularly this line here is interesting to me, where it says certain characters can now perform heat from certain stances, enhancing variety in mind game. And characters who previously had limited tactical options, we've introduced new heat exclusive moves. So I'm a Lee main in Exile, at least thus far in Tekken 8. You have to utilize heat if you want to be successful in Tekken 8. And Lee's heat just isn't it. He gets to do moves that you can do with high execution for free while he's in heat. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. You're better off doing the heat combo that he has with the heat smash to extend to combo than you are just burning up your heat using just frame moves. It's not worth it. And then you have characters like Brian and Elisa and others who have these just absolutely disgusting options during heat. So it's like, why would I put in all this work with Lee to just get dunked on when I can go play Elisa, or goodness, look at Anna, who's going to be crazy, with all these other heat installs and other crazy mechanics. So when you put it this way, though, that gives me some hope. It's like, yeah, I don't really like this transition to crouching state, but I do like the fact that maybe as Lee main, I can actually play Tekken 8 now. Maybe I like Heat better when I can actually participate in this. Maybe Lee's got some sort of Violet Rose install or something crazy now. Maybe I'll get to use that. So, this sounds a little better when you put it this way. Let's look at number 2. Rebalancing offense and defense within the Heat system. And I won't read this whole thing, but they say they want to address overly one-sided match dynamics, and they've reduced chip damage across the board. This is excellent. Everybody wanted this. This is wonderful. They also say in in-game scenarios, it was common to secure KO by basically getting a bunch of chip damage and a Heat dash, and then doing like some quick low or something to finish people off. So that removed the amount of decision making. And they said they've removed or lowered chip damage when Heat dash is blocked. That's great. That's a wonderful change. We've also made adjustments to how recoverable health works. Even damage taken while grounding will leave recoverable gauge. Okay, great. And the way I see this is you get to play Tekken longer. And, I still love Tekken as a series and as a game, despite the problems with Tekken 8. And part of the problem with 8 is if I'm the defender, I oftentimes feel like I'm not getting to play. I think that's the worst feeling you can have, is not getting to play the game that you've logged on to play. And so I think anything that lets me play more Tekken longer is great. Like they say, this softens the pressure of Heat, but makes the defensive merits more tangible, giving defending, it's very early, please excuse me, players more opportunity to recover and fight back. That's great. Love that. Moreover, Heat Dash has had long numerous benefits, particularly when used from Heat engagers with Power Crush properties. However, this created a gap between characters and often led to unbalanced mind games. That sounds like a Nicolas Cage movie from the 90s, doesn't it? Unbalanced mind games. To address this, we've removed the Power Crush property from most Heat engagers and replaced it with other moves, except in a few cases where it's part of a character's identity. So exceptions include Jack 8, Kuma and Panda, and Leo, whose unique stances retain Power Crush properties on their Heat engagers. Heat engaging Power Crushes, I hate. I'm one of the people that doesn't like that. But if you're only giving it to a few characters, it definitely softens the blow a little bit. Maybe this makes this a unique compromise. I think the team really is fond of these big, super impressive power moves. So giving it to only some characters and making it a part of their kit, as long as you balance them in other ways, I think that's okay-ish. Maybe they're just trying to shift the Overton window on us in this way. But I accept this a whole lot easier than I do other things. Let's see. Improvements in controls to bolster defensive techniques and provide more enjoyable play. And this is talking about the sidestep change to make it easier to buffer sidesteps. I think everybody is okay with this. There's not really much need to go through with this. I think all of the veteran players that were upset have no issue with the input buffering, as long as some of these crazy hurt boxes have been fixed. Because, a lot of people call this game Tekken 8 because so much tracks in this. And as one of those, not content creator, but mid-range players, sidestepping is already scary to me to try to figure out. It's really kind of scary. And then when I go online and I see all these high-level players tell me that, everything tracks, it just kind of creates this feedback loop where it's like, why would I learn to sidestep when all the pro players tell me it's pointless? And it's a hard thing that I'm trying to learn to do. And so that just feeds into this mindset of 50-50 rushdown mix. And then there's this regarding future adjustments. Additionally, in order to address issues pertaining to the large frame advantage on Heat activation and the excessive strength of Heat Dash, the development team is currently in the final stages of making adjustments geared toward reevaluating aspects that impact the strength of offense and a focus on improvements in defense. These adjustments are scheduled to be completed by the opening of TWT 2025 on May 9th. So this is good. This is basically them saying, hey, we didn't do a good job with this patch. It wasn't what people expected or wanted, so we're going to make further changes. And I think this line alone, there's some more stuff down here we're going to get to, but this line alone is going to quiet so much angst. I feel like a lot of people felt like April 1st was going to be doomsday for Tekken. People felt like this game was just going to go completely off the rails and that it was going to be worse. I know even Main Man Sui said something about if the game is like X, I'm going to quit. I would probably just quit. So I mean, when you got your major content creators talking about quitting, usually very positive about the game content creators, that's a big problem for you. But it's good that they listened. I hate that it took this, but it's good that they listened. So what are these changes? Changes to throw mechanics. Loosening the input window for throw breaks using 1+2. And they have intent, which is great. Even if your intent is kind of misguided, I like to see what that intent is. That lets people know, hey, we had a reason for this. We thought it through. You know, I think things through and end up at the wrong place all the time. So when you at least tell the intent of major changes, it helps people. This change aims to reduce instances where players fail to break throws despite successfully predicting them, particularly due to the difficulty of executing simultaneous button presses. Increased recovery for whiff normal throws. By increasing the recovery on whiff by 6 frames, players will have an easier time punishing opponents who miss their throws, especially when using crouches or backdashes to evade. This is great. This is a wonderful change. I like this. However, considering that throws are often ineffective against opponents who can react and break them upon seeing the animation, additional benefits are provided to the player attempting the throw. When the throw break is successfully performed, the thrower will recover 1 point of recoverable health. No, don't like that. When a throw break is successfully performed, the player that was grabbed will receive 5 points of recoverable health damage. Okay, this is the big change that made everybody so mad, in addition to the other stuff that was shown. But it sounds a lot better when you can read this, okay? When I can read this stuff, and I do not believe they said anything about this 6 frames here during the Tekken talk. Leave it in the comments below if they did and I just forgot it. But I'm guessing that this was in there and they just didn't talk about it or didn't say it. Because, you know, when you say, considering we're taking this away from throws, we're making them 6 frames slower, and we're doing this recoverable health nonsense, you can at least see what they were trying to balance. But I don't remember them talking about this during the Season 2 talk. So if you put this up here and you talk about, oh, now it's easier to crouch or backdash throws and punish them, now this starts to feel a little better. It's still icky. I don't like it. But it doesn't feel as bad as when they just, you know, came up there and showed a bunch of king buffs and said, oh, now you take damage if you break throws. Feels much better than that. But then there's this note. Revised adjustment after community feedback. After the initial announcement, the development team received feedback from players and reconsidered one of the proposed adjustments. It was concluded that imposing a disadvantage on the defender for executing a successful throw break would be excessive, as throw breaking is a high-skill mechanic that reflects a player's practice and proficiency. Yes, they listen, guys. They listen. So, you know, don't think your voice doesn't matter to all you veterans. It just takes a concerted effort. And I've seen some people out there say that, like, oh, we bullied the Tekken team until they made the change. I'm sure there were some people who took this too far. There always is. But providing polite feedback is a normal thing that you should do. You know, I've seen a lot of people say, oh, if you don't like the changes in Tekken, just quit. I don't think that's kind of a healthy mindset either. I do think that if Tekken or any game or hobby changes to the point where it's no longer something you enjoy and it's actively becoming a detriment, you probably should take a break from it. I haven't launched Tekken 8 since about November because it was becoming a game it just was too much for me to play. But I never really gave up on it. I guess I'm kind of in that same bucket as Frame Whisperer. I just quit playing for my sanity a little bit. But it was still a game that I loved. It was kind of like a loved one who had some sort of problem, right? You don't want to give up on them, but at the same time, it's like, hey, until you fix this, I can't associate with you. But I'm going to tell you what you need to fix so you can get better. And I realize that's a crazy thing to make about just a video game. And it is, because this is all a video game. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But it's a video game that a lot of people have grown up with. They have a lot of fond memories. So I think where that's a lot of this attachment is coming from. I know myself, having played Tekken since Tekken 2, and then Tekken 5 was when I really started to get a little bit more serious. I would have been more serious with Tekken 6, but there was just no community because there wasn't an arcade anymore. There was an arcade Tekken 6. So where I live, the community died out about 2 months after the game released. But, you know, Tekken 5 was just a special time for me because I was at the age of my life where I was able to be independent, and I was going to the arcade, and I was meeting people and playing matches, and getting better and learning tech. It was just a fun time. And so I think myself and a lot of these other veteran players, they associate this series with that. And they remember what the series was capable of at its best. And so that's why they don't necessarily want to just give up on it. But they love it enough that they want to speak out about it. I think that's where all this is coming from. But let's look at item 4. I got on a tangent there. As such, the following spec will be scrapped in an upcoming patch. The receiving damage when you break a throw. It says, while these changes will be applied as soon as possible, there might be a slight delay following the release of version 2.0. The adjustments are scheduled to be completed before the opening of TWT 2025 on May 9th. Okay, that's fine. They're basically saying here that we're going to release 2.0, but it's going to take us a little bit to do these other changes. And if you don't know, the reason for that is this patch is probably already loaded in all the major gaming networks like Steam, Xbox Live, PlayStation Network, etc. They wouldn't be able to just go pull that patch and change it and upload it back up there, probably without some sort of fine or some hullabaloo from Steam and Xbox. So basically what they're saying is we're going to fix this. It's going to be in our next window to drop a patch, so which is fair. Is fair, right? We'll give them that because they made this patch. They said, hey, we made some mistakes with it, but we're going to fix it, but we need time to do so. That's great. I think as long as people know this is coming, there will be still some people who are completely unreasonable about it, but I think most people will be like, okay, let's look forward to this May 9th-ish date. So we'll see how this works out. I think if you're one of those veteran players, you don't need to give up fighting for Tekken 8. We don't know what's going to happen with it in the future. We don't know what future patches and characters will be like. So, make your voices heard, but do it professionally and politely. You can say a lot of unpleasant things very professionally and make your voice heard without upsetting people. Whether Harada and Murray respond to you professionally is another thing if you're one of the people they choose to bless with a response. But, don't be the bad guy, okay? Be the professional guy. So anyway, that's all I have for you this morning. I do plan to create a new video talking about who I think the rest of the Season 2 cast will be. Those are always really fun to make, so I look forward to revisiting that. Anyway, let me know in the comments below what you think about these changes and the state of Tekken 8, especially after this emergency meeting update. Insert Among Us reference here. Take care, guys.